Good morning, everyone. If I could please have everyone's attention. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in welcoming our webcast viewers. My name is Gillian Riley, President of the Canadian Club of Toronto. Viewers, thank you for joining us this morning. Each year, the Canadian Club proudly provides a forum for leaders in every aspect of society to share their ideas with us. We offer access to dynamic business, political, and public figures. They may be local, national, or global. I would say that today's guest speaker, Ed Clark, is all three. Before I formally introduce him, allow me to quickly outline a few of our upcoming events that I hope you'll join us in. On Monday, October 23rd, the Honourable Bill Morrow, Ontario's Municipal Affairs Minister, will be at our podium. And on Tuesday, October 31st, Sarada Perry, former speechwriter to President Barack Obama, will join us. To order your tickets or to learn more about the Canadian Club, please visit our website at canadianclub.org. You can also join the conversation via Twitter and Instagram by following us at CDNCLUBTO or by using that hashtag. And now let me introduce this morning's guest speaker. Paddling the Amazon. It's an intriguing title for today's talk. The storyline is being played out here in Ontario, obviously not in the rainforest. The world's #1 online retailer is searching for its second headquarters, and the bidding frenzy has begun. Cities across North America are vying for the chance to attract the multi-billion-dollar company. The opportunity calls for a seasoned advocate and champion for the province. This is where Ed Clark, Premier Kathleen Wynne's business advisor, enters the storyline. He is working diligently to help attract Amazon to the Greater Toronto Area, where the region boasts many of the criteria that the mega e-commerce giant seeks. Ed might have retired as president and CEO of the TD Bank Group 3 years ago, but his schedule, as he just told me, has never been busier. He provides strategic advice to Premier Wynne about how to grow our economy. He is stewarding the Amazon bid, and he still finds time to provide philanthropic leadership. The award-winning business executive is a member of the Chair's Advisory Council for Habitat for Humanity Toronto. He also supports Wood Green Community Services and Eagle, the national charity that promotes LGBT rights. The Canadian Business Hall of Fame inductee is a member of the Board of Trustees of the US-based Brookings Institution. He also serves as director of Thomson Reuters and chairs the Vector Institute. We're absolutely thrilled to welcome him back to the club to share his Amazon story. Ed Clark, the Canadian Club of Toronto's podium is all yours.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here, and thank you all for coming for breakfast. Well, as mentioned, as you know, in early September, Amazon did quite an unusual thing, launched an unusual process. It decided that it was going to have a second headquarters. And then it turned around and invited cities across North America to bid on where to locate that company's headquarters, which they call HQ2. Now, as mentioned, the Premier asked me to coordinate the province's approach to supporting the Ontario cities that wish to bid. These are city bids that are coming in. I got to tell you, this has been a pretty fascinating exercise, and one that had to be completed in 6 weeks. What I thought you might find useful today is not only that I'll try to explain what the province has tried to do, but I thought I'd try to give you some insight into the thinking and debates that lay behind those decisions. This morning, the Government of Ontario issued a press release by Minister Matthews, Duguid, and Moridi, all of whom are here today, outlining the province's approach. Now, when you examine the government's announcement, you'll notice two things right away. First, it's all about talent. The core of the province's commitment is a major increase in the number of science, technology, engineering, and math students that are going to graduate from Ontario universities every single year. Now, that also includes a major expansion in the number of specialists we produce in artificial intelligence, which is more and more in vital demand from the companies that are engaged in the knowledge economy. I'll get into more detail on those commitments in a few minutes. But the second, and contrary to what I think many might have expected, the government's moves do not depend on what Amazon decides. These changes will take place whether the company comes to Ontario or not. We believe that the best thing we can do for our future is bet big on education and talent. And that was Brad that led that, not Deb Matthews, the university minister. And as it happens, the same strategy that was what is good for Ontario also turns out to be the thing that's most appealing to Amazon. Now, what is Ontario's core advantage? Great talent at a very competitive cost. And that's an edge the government is determined not only to maintain, but to sharpen. So let's also be clear then what's not on the table. The Ontario government is not offering any new financial incentives to Amazon, nor any incentives that are not available to others who seek to grow or locate jobs here. I got to tell you, as a businessman, I really like this approach. You know, successful firms want to be in jurisdictions that are actually inherently attractive, and they're going to remain so in the future. And that's doubly true if you are locating a head office. Companies want jurisdictions that invest in educated workforce, have livable cities, and put out a welcome mat for the best talent to bring their energy and ideas from anywhere in the world. These are the values that matter to the companies of tomorrow, and they happen to also be Ontario's strengths. So it turns out the province's best response to Amazon is to offer what we offer everyone, from our companies established here to those thinking of coming. And that's why we've decided that investing in education, STEM in particular, is good for our province, good for our people, and essential to driving Ontario's economic growth and job creation. And I repeat, the province is committed to doing this whether Amazon comes or not. Now, I entitled my remarks, with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, Paddling the Amazon, Lessons Learned, because frankly, it has been a learning process for me. And actually, it led all of us to think about some of the really important issues that we're going to have to decide. Quite frankly, oddly, at least at first to me, the first thing we had to decide was whether we even wanted Amazon to come to Ontario. Now, I think for a lot of people, you say, really? You're talking about one of the world's largest and fastest growing companies with the addition of tens of thousands of jobs. But there have been some voices with thoughtful arguments suggesting that we pass on Amazon and that we focus entirely on developing our own global companies. Now, I absolutely am sure that we must build sustainable global companies here at home. As a passionate advocate for Canada's economic future, I understand that. I led one of those companies. But the question raised by the Amazon bid is this: will acquiring the head office of a global tech, retail, and media company help or hurt that development? One thing is clear: Ontario absolutely needs more head offices. That's why the government and its partners are very focused on trying to grow our smaller companies into global ones, based right here at home. But I believe it is a false choice to suggest that the pursuit of Amazon comes at the expense of developing our own global leaders. We want both, and an Amazon headquarters helps us get there. The Amazon bid is not a competition to land another plant or a fulfillment centers. However good these are, it'd be great to have some. Amazon's HQ2 will be a worldwide center. It will launch new products and services, employ 50,000 people, not just in technology, but from a variety of professions. Salespeople, marketers, HR staffs, even lawyers and accountants. Amazon Prime is one of the world's leading producers of entertainment. Alexa's development center is already in Ottawa. Amazon's marketplace is rewriting the retail experience. The people of Ontario would benefit from that variety of businesses and demand for skills. The presence of global companies, especially with a head office, are an anchor for the economy, generating spin-offs and benefiting tech entrepreneurs. If we do this right, Amazon can play that role. Moreover, suppose we say, no, we don't want Amazon here, and they go to Boston or New York or Washington. That's not the end of the story. They're still going to demand lots of people, and our talent will head south with them, and so we'll lose our talent and we won't get the benefit of the jobs created here. So, after a series of discussions along with our federal and our municipal partners, we all agreed that bidding was actually a terrific opportunity. If Amazon is coming east, let's have them in Ontario. But we also agreed we must attract them on a different basis, by offering a jurisdiction that is already structurally competitive and ensuring that it will remain so. So with that principle established, we asked ourselves then, what does Amazon want? I'm going to leave you in suspense while I have my water. Well, if I were the CEO of Amazon, I would pick a place where I'm sure I can get my hands on all the talent I need. Not just now, but as I grow in the future. And I want that talent at a cost which gives me a competitive advantage. And just as important, since this is my headquarters, I want a place that my employees will be happy to stay and make their home. You're deciding where to put half of the key people who will run your company for the next 50 years. My head office has to be a city where I don't have to convince my people to come. I want them clamoring to go there. Amazon is a knowledge company. Talent is its lifeblood. The challenge it faces is whether it can get that talent while based solely in the United States. We all recognize the political issues for Amazon to pick a location outside the US borders. It's a big obstacle. That's no secret. We know that the ultimate decision may not be based on business metrics. And these days, obviously, politics south of the border are a bit unpredictable. I didn't tweet anything this morning, trust me. But should it come that Amazon decides to come here, they can get the smart, skilled workers they need by being based in Canada. From here, companies can hire from our great workforce, and they have access to a vast pool of talent around the world that's proving harder and harder to attract to the United States. Now, let me give you a business framework around the decision that has to be made if you're running Amazon. These numbers are rounded, but they illustrate Amazon's key decision-making points. Using the company's own data, the plan is for 50,000 employees to occupy 8 million square feet of office space. If all that space is rented, real estate costs would be about $500 million a year, including property taxes and electricity costs. On the other hand, Amazon's salary costs would be about $5 billion a year. So do the math. Real estate is just 10% of Amazon's expenses. The rest is the cost of talent. So it's not hard to figure out what matters here. The key is access to talent at affordable costs. If you can offer Amazon talent at 30% less than the other jurisdictions that are bidding for this, the savings are staggering. $1.5 billion a year, every single year. As a businessman, I got to tell you, $1.5 billion, serious money, that gets my attention. And in the competition for workers in the knowledge economy, it gets more and more important to offer people, millennials in particular, a certain quality of life. You need a place with the right social conditions, lifestyle, a place where people want to live. Finding a jurisdiction that is willing and in the fiscal position capable to invest in those things, and you have now found the best place to put your head office. So, how does Ontario stack up? Well, we can thank Amazon's rather unusual search process for one thing. They have forced us to look hard at Ontario's qualifications, to measure how we compare against others, and to see where we could do better. Now, I recognize in the true world of politics, there will be lots of people in the business community that have lots of policy disagreements with the Ontario government. That's not surprising. They can feel free to press hard on those points. But I would ask them to step back and not let those policy issues obscure the fact that Ontario does actually perform incredibly well in the competition with other places in North America for knowledge jobs. Let's just do the numbers. No country in the OECD has more higher education graduates per capita than Ontario. We have the largest cluster of ICT firms in North America outside Silicon Valley, and our cluster is growing very fast. Between 2010 and 2015, Ontario created more than 77,000 jobs in the information computing and technology sector. How big is that? Well, that's more than were added in New York and Massachusetts combined. Ontario has an unbelievable future pipeline of talent. Our 15-year-olds perform well above their American counterparts in science, math, and reading skills. As you all know, we have great universities and intellectual institutes across the province. And this talent is more competitively priced than anywhere in the United States. A software programmer in Ontario costs you 34 to 38% less than in Boston or in New York. And as all you know, we pay lower corporate taxes here than they do in the United States. And it's anybody's guess whether in the end the US Congress can find a way, have agreement on tax reforms to get where we already are in our tax system. Immigration, of course, is another huge advantage that we have. We can supplement our homegrown talent with a supply of skilled workers from elsewhere. And with the changes that the federal government has made, we can do it quickly. Rather than closing the door on smart workers from around the world, as some places are clearly doing, Canada's federal government has streamlined the process to bring in the workers that businesses need, most in as little as 2 weeks. Story after story I've heard from entrepreneurs of how this system is actually working. Ahmed Hussain, Canada's Minister of Immigration, has promised to work with Ontario to meet our talent needs by expanding temporary and permanent resident pathways for qualified immigrants. And what does that mean? That means Ontario then can dramatically increase our number of international students because we will have a route to offer them permanent residency. Now that welcoming approach, you know, is no accident. It is really part of our DNA as a province and country which understands that good immigration policy, like good social policy, is vital to our businesses. Now, I know that we're not perfect, but I have to say, our values put us on the right side of history. A belief that healthcare is a right for everyone. A publicly funded education system that doesn't leave students behind because of costs. A place where your postal code does not dictate your economic fate. That's why schools in Ontario's less affluent community get more money than richer ones, the opposite of what happens in the United States. It's why 1/3 of Ontario students are attending college and university for free this year. The American dream hasn't died, it just lives here in Canada. But let's not sit on our laurels. We can do better, and every one of us who've run an institution know complacency is the enemy of success. So we must do better, which is why the Ontario government is making these commitments today. The announcements made by the ministers build on a decade of Ontario's commitment to the knowledge economy. It's allowed the province to produce 40,000 STEM graduates a year. That's the second highest number per capita of any jurisdiction in North America. But we are going to do more. Today's announcement will increase Ontario's 5-year target to 50,000 graduates a year. That's 10,000 more STEM grads per year, a 25% increase. With this increase, based on today's number, no state or province on the continent would produce more STEM graduates per capita than Ontario. Now that's a competitive structural advantage that will serve this province well for decades to come. And it's a commitment, and this is important, that would more than match any increase in demand for STEM graduates that would occur if Amazon lands in Ontario. We also know that all companies, not just Amazon, face an acute shortage in the number of artificial intelligence engineers, designers, data scientists, and researchers. We're simply not producing enough graduates to meet current needs. So today, the government of Ontario has committed $30 million to the Vector Institute for the next 3 years to work with schools across the province to accelerate the number of professional applied master students that we graduate in AI. The goal is that within 5 years, we are graduating 1,000 applied master students in AI annually. Now, let's be frank. This is a very ambitious target, and it's going to require innovative solutions to ramp up and be able to meet that goal. Vector is not only going to look to the University of Toronto and the University of Waterloo, it's kind of natural partners in this endeavor, but frankly, it's got to look across the provinces to universities everywhere to find the best way to meet this target. These are bold, long-term commitments to enhancing Ontario's economic promise. Expanding the talent pool of well-trained and highly educated workers will give all Ontario companies, a chance to grow their businesses and to become global leaders right here in the province. The Ontario cities bidding for Amazon will each make their own powerful cases why the company should sink roots in their communities. All are our cities that work with the culture and lifestyle that millennials say they want. Our mayors and economic development agencies will show off their enviable sites at costs that are comparable or better than anywhere else. Our cost advantage extends to our real estate as well. To back that up, they can point out to Amazon that Ontario is in the 4th year of a massive infrastructure investment, $190 billion over 12 years. And the Ontario government is willing to look at changing the timing of projects that are already planned if it would enhance the viability of a site for Amazon. And every bid is built upon that same province-wide advantage, the high quality of our talent in a society that values the building blocks of a knowledge economy. Those of you who've heard me speak before know why I'm animated by the urgent need to build the knowledge economy of tomorrow. You know, it's sometimes hard when you're in the middle of something to recognize an economic or technological revolution. For those of you who are checking your phones right now, because you're getting bored with my speech, try to remember that just a dozen years ago, the first iPhone had not been released. And Netflix, I can tell you, was still mailing me DVDs. And back in 2005, Amazon, that company all the fuss is about, had respectable sales of $8.5 billion. Last year, $136 billion. The speed of change underscores the urgency to act. We are living through a great surge of change that's rewiring the way we get around, how we buy and sell things, how we power our society, and the way we build stuff. A sustainable, knowledge-based economy requires a society that works, and a society that works for everyone. For that to happen, governments and firms have to invest in training programs that help employees get the skills they need for an information economy. And they have to help people affected by automation and technology to find new jobs. The core of a knowledge economy is that it is built around great people. And you get great people if you foster social mobility. You get great people if they all get quality health care. You get great people if you have a superb public education system. You get great people if companies believe they are part of a larger social fabric and have responsibilities beyond just the making of money. You get great people when you celebrate diversity, understand the value of gender equality, and support the LGBTQ community. And you get great people if you are open to the world. Ontario has all that. And that's been the real lesson of paneling the Amazon. No special deals. We are offering Amazon the best place in the world to locate a second head office, with unbelievable talent at salary levels that will save them $1.5 billion a year. But we're also saying to our existing firms, we will not let Amazon erode the competitive advantage in town and costs that we have worked so hard to build. Whether Amazon comes or not, we will grow our education and immigration pipeline to get you the talent you need. 50,000 STEM graduates a year, 1,000 applied master graduates in AI a year. Our commitment holds either way. We have something precious here in Ontario, and the way to preserve what we built is to master today's economic changes, just as our parents and grandparents met the challenges of their time. Building the knowledge economy is Ontario's next big challenge. We can do it, and we will do it. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was an impressive speech, Ed. Thank you very much. Your energy and your enthusiasm are most inspirational. So I have a few questions here for you.
No hard ones, I hope.
No, I think these are good ones. First one for you. What do you think the chances are for Ontario to win the bid?
Well, I think it's one of these
You
things.
can use ranges.
Yeah. So this is really a binary option. Does politics dominate or not? If politics dominate, and he says, I can't stand the idea that I'm going to say to Mr. Trump, I'm moving the next 50,000 jobs to Canada, we won't get it. But if that's not a constraint, we're hands down the winner.
Wow. Okay, here's a nice one for you. What is the mitigation plan to ensure that if Amazon comes to Toronto, that the city doesn't become unaffordable as other tech headquarter cities like San Francisco have?
Well, I do think growth has its issues, and I don't think we should round the corner that it does have its issues, and we're going to have to sit there and say, how can we spend? What's interesting is the issues are around residential, not commercial. So I know that we looked at all the cities that are bidding, and they all can accommodate the buildings that we're talking about and accommodate them at prices that would make us still competitive from a cost point of view. So I think the real issue that we're dealing with already is that our cities are growing very fast, and we're not growing the housing stock. And I think that is a challenge that we're going to have to put to the government and tell them, get going on it here.
One last question for you, Ed. If you could leave us with one thought, what would it be? As we start our day.
Yeah, so I would say the thought that all of us, I think, and this is not a partisan comment at all, that's what I think people have to step back and realize. I think everyone that worked on this project was struck by, I guess I'll call it two things. One is we do have a fantastic place here. And we shouldn't lose track of that, And the second thing is that we should always tell ourselves we should not compete with each other. We're competing with the world. And what came here was a set of bids where everybody worked together.
Excellent. On behalf of everyone here in the Canadian Club of Toronto, thanks for kickstarting our day. I have to agree with you. I think we're living the American dream right here in Ontario, and you certainly showed us that today. Your energy and your enthusiasm and your commitment to making this province a better place are incredibly admirable. So thank you. If you want to learn more about our club, please visit our website at canadianclub.org. We have many upcoming events that are exciting, so we hope you'll consider attending the upcoming events. I would like to thank our media event sponsor for today. Sorry, I just have to get my notes here. Canadians Online Event Space and VVC for live streaming today's event. Again, Ed, you've been a terrific speaker for us this morning. I know it'll set us off for the day ahead, and I hope for Ontario that the outcome of this bid goes to the right place. Thank you again for coming. We hope to see you again. Bonne journée, à la prochaine.
Good.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic.